Hi everybody, I'm Jack. This is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Well, I'm shooting this video on Sunday morning. Actually, it's Sunday around noon to get the week started. It's been a nice weekend here, just a mellow weekend. Went down to Pensacola yesterday, got some fruit, which I was happy about. And found a grow shop. I stumbled onto this place, this grow shop that's got a lot of equipment. I bought some soil, and it's actually owned by a vegan. So I'm going to really start growing wheatgrass now. That little kit I got before was just kind of a play kit, and I still haven't gotten around to doing it. But this, bought some soil, bought some trays. This guy's totally vegan, and I'm going to go to a class there in a couple of weeks, so that'll be something fun. But wanted to start the week off talking about raw food tips for success, specifically best way to transition. I do videos every day, so if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that subscribe button now, and then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. So what is the best way to transition? That's a pretty bold statement right there. I mean, I'm not going to give you any definitive answers here because, in my opinion, and I write notes down. That's why I look down from time to time. The best way to transition is the way that's actually going to work for you, the way that's actually going to bring you into this lifestyle and make it where you can do this long term and where you can sustain long term and not just survive but thrive on the raw food diet. Before I get started here talking about some of my thoughts on this, I watched a few videos like I always do when I'm looking into a subject, and was looking at some stuff by John Rose. Now people are constantly referring me to John Rose. I know who the cat is. He's been around forever. I don't necessarily do things the way John Rose does, or not everything the way John Rose does, but I'm one of those types, just because I don't do something a certain way, I don't believe there's necessarily one path to the objective that we're trying to get to. And something I will say about the guy, he's in his 60s. He's not emaciated looking like a lot of the raw foodists out there. Like I say, I'm going to keep doing my thing. I'm sure he'll keep doing his thing, but he's got some really good information. So I would highly advise you go check him out. The reason I don't talk about him all that much, he's one of those people that I get mentioned, that people mention a lot to me like others. He's got a lot of little fanboys and girls out here that just like are a little starry-eyed and hang on every word. They kind of like get on my nerves, but nothing to do with him. So he's more for doing it immediately, going straight into that transition. And whereas before I've done a number of videos on transition, in fact, you can find a playlist. I'll try to remember to put below my transition playlist. That's the opposite of what I usually advise, doing it immediately. But he had a lot of valid points, and I actually watched a couple of his videos, and I'm like, well, you know what? There's a lot of what he's saying that makes sense. But it just all goes back to that there's different methods for getting to where we want to get. He brought up a really good point. You know, I've heard people mention this, and I'm always kind of talking about, I'm not real big on the juice feasting or whatever, but he had a good point there. In the beginning, when you're just coming to this lifestyle, sometimes the way we eat all this food, all this fruit, the fiber can be overwhelming. So for some people, a solid food vacation is a good idea. You know, it's going to be tougher to stick to. It's definitely going to be tougher to stick to for most people just coming into this lifestyle. But there's a lot of, to me, in my mind, there's a lot of valid science behind that. You know, just giving your body a break, because if you've been eating the, standard American diet, probably your body would just love a vacation from food. Now, one thing that I agree with him 100%, if you're suffering, if you're in pain, or if you have some really serious health issue, I'd jump right in. And I'm talking about me. I'm not telling you, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. I don't care if I just come from eating a plate of ribs. If I had a life-threatening health crisis and I was shown a way to do it, I would do it very pristine from the beginning. I don't care what the consequences were. But so anyhow, go check him out a little bit and see some of his thoughts on the subject. Now you got on the opposite end or not necessarily the opposite end, but you've got another well-respected person in the raw food world, which also comes with a lot of fanboys, even though he's dead, is Arnold Ehret. And Ehret, as stringent as he is on the mucusless diet and natural hygiene and what have you, actually recommends a slower transition. In fact, if you read some of his stuff, if you read the mucusless diet, it's actually quite a drawn out transition. So there you have, two contrasting ways of doing this. Me, I'm always kind of in the middle, kind of the middle path, like the Buddha walked. I'd say don't move too fast, but don't get stuck in transition. I really always like to stress that, because I feel that too many people, it's almost like it's just comfortable. You feel like you're doing it. You're psychologically fooling yourself into you're making progress when you're I'm taking a long transition, almost like getting on an old cruise liner and crossing the ocean. It's going to take you forever. And they're just stuck. They're stuck in one spot. Transition is think about you're moving through transition. You don't ever want to be stopped in one spot. You're constantly moving through because you're transitioning. You're getting from here to there. By definition, transition has to be moving, doesn't it? I'm not sure grammatically if it does, but you see what I'm saying. Always be prepared. Always have good choices around in the beginning when you're transitioning, because you want to keep moving forward on this transition instead of taking steps back. So when you keep a lot of good food around, you're going to be more likely to pick up the good food. In other words, when you get hungry, if there's an apple there, you'll pick up the apple. If there's a bag of chips there, you'll pick up the chips, or you'll pick up whatever garbage you have around there. Another one of my thoughts on the subject is eat as much as you want in the beginning. Do not even try to think. I have so many people that'll that'll make a comment or send me a question or something, and they're worried about, am I eating too much? No. If you're new to this lifestyle, you are not eating too much. You're not eating too much, because you shouldn't be worrying about anything other than adapting to eating this way, adapting to eating more raw foods and eating less cooked food. And probably, even though your mind might be telling you you're eating too much, you're going on thinking from eating a processed diet, where the calories are on the foods you've possibly been eating in the past on a standard American diet. 600, 700, 800 calories can look like this, can be very small, whereas 600, 700, 800 calories with fruit and vegetables is a large volume of food. So in the beginning, you're just trying to learn you're trying to adapt, you're trying to teach your body a new way of eating, a new way of living. So eat as much as you want. Don't ever try to limit yourself, especially in the beginning. Fill yourself up with plenty of good fruits and vegetables. Now, after having talked about various methods, the way John Rose does it, about jumping right into it, Ehret talks about it. Here's the thing: there's practical versus theoretical. Theoretically, going back to John, theoretically, I believe very closely to what he says, but in practice, that's where that's why I offer a little bit different advice than he might from time to time, because I'm just going by feedback that I get. Maybe he gets different feedback from different types of people, but I'm just constantly in comments and, in social media, whatever. All I hear is people talking about how they can't even do, the most basic version of this lifestyle. So I'm trying to think practical. While as it might be great advice to tell people, like, okay, start out with a solid food vacation. I just don't know what the success rate is on that. Like, how many people, if so many people are telling me they're struggling just trying to eat raw food, so many people are struggling just trying to eat high raw, I don't know how many people are actually going to be able to jump in right off the beginning and do a juice feast or a juice fast or eat no solid food. I know some people do, and I'm sure, and they're always like that little kid in the class. They always, me. They'll tell me their story of like how they did it immediately. Good for you. God bless you. That's great. You're on the fast track. But once again, I'm talking to as many, I'm trying to talk to a wider audience of people, you know, and what is and what's practical and what will probably actually happen. You know, we have these, if you think about it, you know, with the every time you've ever started a diet or every time you've made a New Year's resolution, we start out on these things with high expectations. And think about the times that you've wanted to make a change, no matter what it has to do with your life, and you're like, you're going to get hardcore and you're going to do it like this and you're going to do it like that, and it just doesn't pan out. And no matter what your intentions don't matter. Let's be real right here and let's step on some toes. Your intentions don't matter. Your trying doesn't matter if you're not going to get there. So, you know, let's be realistic on this and let's use the methods that are going to get you there, that are more likely to get you there. And you got to know yourself on this, and you got to be real with yourself on this, because like I say, I'm not saying that the way I do it is the way for everybody to do it. I'm not saying that everybody, you know, and other people shouldn't say, well, the way John Rose does it is the way for everybody to do it. I think there's a lot of different methods out there to get to the place that we're all trying to get to. Not that we're all trying to get to the same place, but I'm just saying to a place of higher health, which, you know, most of us are. So, you know, find what works for you. There's in the end, and I'm gonna finish with this, people are just in such a hurry. It boils down to patience most of the time. But like I say, we have done the damage. The damage has built up over a lot of years. So, you know, it's not that big a deal if it takes us a year. What if it takes you a year to get to where you want to go? It's not like you're in the meantime totally you know, doing bad stuff to your body. Even if you're not 100% raw food, even if you never get to high raw food, you've done so much for your body by just coming to a plant-based diet. Just give yourself a hand. Congratulations for being plant-based. That's step one. What are you eating? Are you eating even 60% of your diet raw food? That's amazing right there. That's amazing. You're ahead of most everybody out there. Now you get 80% or higher. Wow. Wow. So most people are actually, you know, they're worrying about those little margins up there, and go as far as you want to go with it, but also realize and acknowledge what you've accomplished along the way or where you are along the way, and don't think of everything short of this fully raw pinnacle is a failure on this lifestyle. You are reaping such great health benefits just from eating all these fruits and vegetables, from cutting out the animal products, from cutting out the processed food, from cutting out the processed sugar, the packaged stuff, whatever. So, you know, let's just focus on getting there, however we have to get there, and not being in such a hurry. Anyhow, enough rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, maybe found it a little bit helpful to you. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you know some people that are struggling, if you're in groups on the raw food, raw vegan lifestyle, and you know people struggling in there, share me. Anyhow, hope your week's off to a good start, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.